Hey, Don McDowell, president of the Arizona Deer Association. Today we're at the 18A project just south of Seligman. This is a flagship project that the Arizona Deer Association Board of Directors has enhanced and wrapped our arms around. And the project here is a multi-phase 5-year project, about $1 million a year, to increase the historic grasslands due to the juniper enhancement. Today what we're going to be showing you is some of the before, during, and after effects of the mastication, and we'll be visiting with Wade Zarlingo, the landowner relations specialist from the Arizona Game and Fish Department, as we go through the project. So stay with us, we're going to get some video, and we'll be back.
Okay.
Okay, folks, here we are. I want to introduce our host today, Wade Zarlingo, the landowner relations specialist from the Game and Fish Department. And Wade, if you would, give us a tutorial on what we're going to do, what we're going to see today.
Sure. Basically what we're looking at, kind of this first area we're going to be looking at where we're going to be doing some browse release treatment. It's basically the same concept as our grassland encroachment. We've got juniper that are coming into areas. The canopy cover's extremely thick, and what that's doing is reducing nutrients, sunlight, everything that these plants need to grow, the browse plants. Okay. So basically the idea of this project that we're looking at for browse release is to remove about 60% of the juniper trees that are there.
Wow.
And we're leaving pinyon trees. They're a good food producer, and they're also a need for some of our non-game birds, specifically pinyon jays.
Right.
So these landscape scales, we take into account a lot of different species. They are funded almost totally by hunter dollars, which is an important fact to have out there. But so today, this is just one of the 5 ranches that we're working on.
Yeah, as you can see here, this is the Double O Ranch treatment that we're going to be looking at today. And Wade's made a good point. You know, this is for all of God's little creatures, but the wildlife organizations that have added up the $100 on this is about 60% deer population, 20% antelope, and 20% elk. Am I about
right? Yeah.
So, you know, it's not just you know, for deer only, elk only, antelope only. You know, everything's going to benefit, and we've got a symbiotic relationship through the landowner relations with the department. The Arizona Deer Association, founded in 1995, just created a landowner relations committee. I'm part of that. We're here working with the ranchers and letting them know who we are, understanding who they are and what their needs are. So this is a combined effort to enhance the landscape, not only for the wildlife but for their grazing stock as well.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this program very unique. Is it's an opportunity to find mutually beneficial projects that really benefit the wildlife first and livestock second.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
There's been a lot of effort and thought put into that, and if you look at this map, what we've got is broken down with state trust land, and the yellow that's depicted here is state land that's going to be opened up for grassland. The blue are state land that is going to be primarily a browse release for deer and elk. So if you look at this map, this is identified about 30,000 acres of treatment opportunity out here to enhance wildlife habitat in general.
Okay, so we're seeing some red in here. Give me a description of the red.
So that the red is the private land that's held by the rancher.
Okay.
Here, and it's a checkerboard pattern throughout all of this ranch, and a lot of it there's subdivisions that are in here, but they're not developed subdivisions.
Okay.
And so, and what we're trying to do is get ahead of that to make this more valuable to the rancher, and for our wildlife, so that there's not that strict need to develop the state trust land.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
yeah, that does. You know, and one of our goals here today with you, Wade, is to educate the public on where our conservation dollars come from. We don't have a magic pool that we just pull money out of. Our surtaxes that the hunters spend money on is what goes back to the states, divvied up to the states throughout the United States, and we get a pretty good share. So it's important. We have commissioners' tags that we auction off. We just raised $285,000 between our mule deer, whitetail, and mountain lion tag at our recent banquet. So that'll go into next year's fund, and we donated an additional $10,000 to put on the landscape for projects that the ranchers may need that aren't included in the HPC 18A fund. It could be something as simple as maybe a solar attachment on a well. Okay, the area we're in right now has already been processed by the mastication machine, and thanks for bringing me up here. This is an ideal example and part of the model of what we're talking about on landscape enhancement. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 ridges coming in here. We've got a water catchment in here, a dirt tank, if you will, and this just seems like a collection point. We're seeing deer sign, elk sign, all kinds of stuff. How long ago, Wade, was the machine in here to process this?
I'm guessing in this area right here, it's probably been 3 weeks since
Okay.
he's been in here, and they've knocked out about a section of this already. So 640 acres.
Wow.
Now it's not, we're leaving, clumps of trees, so he's not taking everything.
Well, that's what's ideal, and hopefully, what our video shows is a sophistication of developing a wildlife enhancement area, and this fits the profile.
Right. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of it. The vegetation itself kind of leads you to the proper treatment in here if you're paying attention.
Sure.
You've got, when you come through an area, you work the ridges down. Those tend to be smaller trees. You leave the bigger clumps with pinyon trees because pinyons are a mass producer, and other wildlife rely on those significantly. So,
Well, one thing I noticed coming into this area, we came in from the north. We're seeing, I'm going to call it old growth on these allocated junipers. There's one over here that's pretty much 42 inches in diameter, which is a pretty good sized tree.
It's a big tree.
So we've got the old growth and the thickets down here, if you will, which is, you can see by just looking up this draw right here how thick this stuff is, and being able to come in here and open it up. We're going to have grass growing and every other thing for
the rockier stuff. If you on this side here, if you look up to the east-facing slopes and kind of the rockier stuff, are the ones that are really holding a lot of that browse, the cliff rose and the ceanothus.
Right.
And so you can see how those ridge lines, we're spending quite a bit of time on those ridge lines, treating those as they finger up, and then we'll leave. You can see what's going on. There's just clumps here and big stuff. And as you get up on the south side of this treatment area, we have some north-facing slopes, and the trees in there are just really big.
Yeah, huge.
And we're not going in there at all. Those we're leaving intact for escape. So Don, this is one of the sections here that's going to be a grassland treatment area, and you can see you've got some of the smaller junipers that are actually going out into this grassland. And as you look back to your right, the density of those trees gets a little thicker. And so we'll be leaving some of these monarch trees, like there's one out there in the middle that you can kind of see right straight this way. Mm-hmm. And that'll be left for shade purposes, for pronghorn and for livestock.
Be a great place for a tree stand, eh?
Exactly. If you're a pronghorn hunting, it would be. So, but it kind of gives you an idea, kind of what we looked at before. That's pretty typical what we're going to see here when the treatment's done.
Well, I think this is a primary example of seeing the encroachment, Mother Nature taking over the grasslands with the heavy vegetation, and absolutely.
So,
well, this is a great project, and once again, this is one of the flagship projects for the Arizona Deer Association, and the board of directors are certainly behind you. We've worked with Kirby and Dan and just a whole bunch of people up at the department, and sometimes it seems like a thankless job, but on behalf of the ADA, thank you for doing what you do, and Dan and all the guys at HPC, because once again, this is a symbiotic relationship with the landowners, the ranchers, the sporting community,
State
the
Land Department.
Yeah,
You know, and that's pretty amazing right there. That most of this work that we're doing is on state trust land, and we've really formed a pretty tight relationship with state land, even though we have different missions.
We do.
But the support for the resources there on this project, which is pretty amazing.
Well, it's amazing to see the evolution of the process of all the NGOs coming together, the federal agencies coming together, the landowners, the cattle ranchers that had an issue with this guy and that guy, and now we're all coming together. Why? It's for the betterment of the planet and all of God's little creatures.
Absolutely.
I'm Don McDowell for the Arizona Deer Association. We appreciate you watching, and if you want some more information, you can go to azdeer.org and follow the prompts on the website as we move through the 18A Landscape Enhancement Project.
And thanks for your support. Appreciate it.